14. Brant. After the screaming, I was feeling inspired. I was fast at work at the spare typewriter at the office. I could tell Mr. Clark was watching me, not all the time. He popped up his head out of his office and squeezed at me. He didn't want me writing this story, not when Mr. Chambers was the investor in the paper itself, but this was too good. Those men from New York? I didn't recognize any of them yet. And there was a good chance if I did some cross-referencing in the files. If they were not affiliated, I'll eat my own hat. And I only had one hat, so that meant something. I loved the afternoon, particularly skipping down the street like my little sister. I have an idea then, just to head back toward the club. Maybe I'll run into Bill again, or his father, or those men. Then I realized, no, the Atlantic Plaza Hotel. It was by far the grandest hotel Mr. Chambers owned it, and there was no way he wasn't putting up his guests in one of their prime ocean view suites. They got the lobby. I turned on my heel and made my way toward the waterfront. As always, the air got colder and windier as I got closer to the water. Some days it made you feel fragile, but today it felt invigorating. I was ready to take on the world. I arrived at the plaza inaugurally, smiled at the doorman as I passed through into the large marble foyer. Sure, it had been fine when Bill had been with me this morning, but on my own, I suddenly felt very safe out of the place. I had to admit, I didn't intend to visit these buildings much, even though I suppose I feel free to do so. They intimidate me, sure. But also the ostentatious wealth, the expense of having marble imported in a giant cavernous space filled with nothing, while the others lived paycheck to paycheck, were barely able to put food on their table, made me uncomfortable, twitchy. "Can I help you, sir?" asked the man in tailor jacket with AP embroidered on the label. "Right, this is the other reasons. When you look and dress like me, you weren't going to be allowed to lower it for too long." "Just waiting to pick up the package," I replied that I'll just stay back here. "Shall I call up to the room, sir?" asked the man, clearly not believing me. "No, they said not to disturb them." The man looked at me with one eyebrow raised. "I can wait outside," I said, and backed away slowly. I passed once more through the door, held open the doorman, and he gave me a sympathetic shrug. Across the street, staring into the ocean, the sky was blue and bright. The sun was just beginning its descent and gave everything a warm glow. The water looked almost welcoming. It would be decent. It was as warm as the tropics, if not for the cold wind blowing. I turned and leaned against the railing on the boardwalk, watching the entrance to the hotel. It was cold, but it was just as good. Besides, my excitement was helping keeping me warm inside. "Brant?" Someone was calling up to me from the beach below. I looked over the railing and saw Bill waving at me. That was unexpected and a very welcoming sight. "Bill!" I called out, waving back. "What are you doing there, pal?" "Collecting shells. Come down and join me," he said. Collecting shells? That didn't seem like a hobby of the rich kid. But then again, what did I know about the hobbies of rich kids? "Sure." I made my way to the stairs and joined him on the beach. The sand slipped under my shoes and struggled to make my way over to him. "Shells?" I asked it once I finally made it. Bill nodded and held up his hand. He handed a half a dozen or so shells, mostly small but quite detailed and unbroken. Finding good unbroken shells did take some work. "Funny seeing you here," he said. "I need some fresh air before heading home." He nodded. I wonder how now if he trusted me. I thought we have a good thing coming, but it had occurred to me that he might not be entirely falling for my friend act. I turned and pointed over toward the smaller hotel at the few buildings down from the plaza. "That's your dad's also, right?" He nodded again. "That one, and that one, and that one." He pointed them out. They disappeared in the distance along the boardwalk. What's that like?" "What's that like?" "Having a dad that owns a city." I pulled my coat tight around me and started walking a little in the place. "Honestly?" he asked it. "Why will you not be completely honest with a stranger you just met yesterday?" "Yeah," I asked it back with a grin. He finally smiled. "I tried not to think about it. I just want to live my own life. I didn't want to own all this. It's just too much work and too much." He paused. I waited for him, didn't push. "Sometimes it's dangerous." "Dangerous?" He gave me a look. "You know what I mean." Did I? Was he confirming what I was thinking about those men last night? "Those men from New York?" I said. But he didn't say anything, just looked back toward the sea. I get wanting to do your own thing, having your dreams. Why do older folks trying to push things on us? They make up their own minds about everything now, but when they were young, they were rebels. I said this thinking about my aunt and uncle, thinking how they took me in, thinking about what they sacrificed for that. I felt a little guilty. Exactly, said Bill, exactly. I feel a little bad, I said. You do? Why? Asked Bill. All this talking about dreams and such, and I told you not to pursue yours. Show some empathy. Remember the details and make them feel special, Bill smiled. Oh, that's just silliness. What purpose could be served besides you were right? I don't want to take employment for anyone else. Or maybe they have no plans to hire anyone, but you were the exception, you know? I said an idea that occurred to me. You could offer to work for free. A small business always can use the help. It will be more like, I don't know, a charity act. Charity act, he said. He seemed to think about it for a moment and then he dismissed it. Well, it's either here or there. I should be heading inside. There's a dinner I needed to go to. With those same men? I asked it. Bill nodded, looking a little distracted. If you like the company. He looked at me, confused. I'm just saying that I have no plans. Brant, Bill said, frowning slightly. Desperation isn't a good look. Oh, I didn't mean to push. Too far, Brant. Too far. I know, I'm sorry. I'm just tired of people wanting things from me. I know you aren't like that. I understand, I said. I feel like I'm just trying to capture that strange dog by grabbing it by the scruff. Next time, I told myself. Next time. Well, have a nice dinner. Thank you, said Bill. He looked at his hand for a moment, then turned and drew the shells out into the water. He rubbed his hands together, gave me one last nod, and made his way along the beach back to the stairs. I sat down with the cold sand and pulled my jacket collar up. It always happened. I always just went a little too far, folks. Give me an inch. And I took the mile, as the saying went. My uncle said it's a good quality, especially as a reporter. But I guess sometimes it's not, especially with the skittish marks like Bill. Next time, I'll do better. Next time, I'll get the scoop.